Hello. Welcome to Sports and Shorts of Sorts. We're back again for episode 4. 4 is a pretty big number in sports. I like it. And if you're golfing with me, you're going to hear it a lot. But as we do with each episode, we're going to start with jerseys. That's always the cool thing. And with baseball coming back, we're going to start with one of the biggest number 4s in all. Someone way before my time, Lou Gehrig, right? I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but Lou Gehrig. And, he had the Ironman record until, Cal Ripken Jr. broke it years later for the most consecutive games played. But Lou Gehrig had it for a while until he pulled himself out of the game once. He just wasn't feeling right. And then they ended up testing him, and he had symptoms that would lead to ALS. At that time, it was known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It was a fairly new thing, and it forced him to retire from baseball. In his famous speech where he was like, consider myself the luckiest man in the face of the earth. It's a real dramatic thing. Like, if you watch it, the black and white footage of it, it's pretty cool where sports and history, world history intertwine. It's pretty cool, but that's a long tangent to go off for a jersey. But yeah, Lou Gehrig, legendary number 4. For me, hits because, as I've mentioned before, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan, and growing up, 4 was Brett Favre, right? He was more than just a cameo in There's Something About Mary. He was very entertaining to watch. He'd make you want to pull your hair out. I think that's why I'm balding now, is growing up watching Favre. And but he was very exciting and inspirational when he played on Monday Night Football after his dad passed. And just watching how he played was phenomenal. And being a guy in his 30s that lost my dad recently, it's just very inspirational stuff. But there's also the double side with Brett Favre. It shows that as much as you look up to your heroes in sports and whatnot, they're not always going to be good people, right? Like, he went to the Jets, he sent a dick pic to the reporter and whatnot just out of nowhere. And then there's the whole thing with him taking funds from the welfare of Mississippi to donate to his alumni, his former university, to try to get them a new volleyball court. Just kind of scummy things, but on the field, something else. And, for being in Canada, Bobby Orr, right? Some would say he is the greatest to play. Better than Gretzky, better than Lemieux, but, injuries cut his career short. But, yeah, that was a little before my time, but some say he's one of the best, if not the best to play. But if you're a Montreal fan, like some people are, Jean Bellevue, another number 4. And if your number is retired with Montreal Canadiens, you must have been doing something right. And in basketball, the 3 that jumped out to me, Chris Bosh was 4 with the Raptors before we went to the Heat and got a rebound, threw it in the corner to Ray Allen, which beat my Spurs with the Heat. That was rough. Still cuts deep, but I say Chris Webber as well. He was number 4. He never got a ring, but really something else. Part of the Fab Five. Really great. And Joe Dumars, who I mentioned, he's part of those Pistons team. He was the leader of those teams. Isaiah was the man, but he was the leader. Well, those are sweet jerseys. But let's jump into some cool stuff that happened. The Final Four final today. Not men. That's tomorrow, but the women's matchup. You had Iowa Hawkeyes going up against the LSU Tigers, and it was crazy. It was everything we expected for a while, but then, it kind of got out of hand. But Iowa earned their way by beating the Giants of South Carolina in the semis, and Aaliyah Boston got in foul trouble, kind of opened the door, but Caitlin Clark had 41 points. She lit it up. But South Carolina out-rebounded, 49-25, they out-rebounded the Hawkeyes. But Iowa still pulled that off. And LSU, the lower seed, beat the number 1 Virginia Tech Hokies to get in this game. But in this game, Angel Reese, she was one of the big reasons with Alexis Morris that got them to this final. But the first half, they did really nothing. It was the bench. it's one of those things in the final. Who's the X factor or the wild card, or enter generic sports cliche? Who is going to step up? Unlikely. And I think let me get her name. Jasmine Carson, 21 points off the bench in the first half. And the thing again with fouls. In college, it's tough with the 5 fouls. It really impacts the game. And I'm hoping next year, maybe, I don't know, this is the most I've ever watched of a women's NCAA tournament, but I'm hoping next year they realize that, they play physical, right? Let there be some physicality. There are a lot of, plays that are, if some people say it's a soft game, basketball, but in the post, there's physicality, and you have to let these women be physical. But fouls did play a big part on both teams. Big on Sinano. Not great for her to, go out like that. Big foul trouble. She ended up fouling out. 6:25 to go in the fourth, but she was really a non-factor. She was on the bench a lot. Caitlin Clark was forcing stuff, and it really wasn't enough. The bench kept LSU in the first half, and then Alexis Morris carried them to the promised land in the second. Iowa couldn't keep up. Caitlin Clark got a tech when Sinano got her third foul. Caitlin Clark grabbed the ball and just kind of threw it out of bounds, got teed up, which is a technical. The other team gets shots, but that also counts as a foul on your total to get ejected. So she had 3 fouls now. And or 4 fouls, sorry. That was her 4th after Zanano got her 4th. So it really, really changed the whole game. But it was already an 11-point game after 3 quarters. So they were in it, but not really. LSU played better. They earned it. And they're the national champs, Got Kim Mulkey her 4th championship. That's crazy. 2 different teams. Well done for her and her wild outfits. It's something else. But as I mentioned, the men's finals tomorrow. The game everyone predicted, the San Diego State Aztecs against the UConn Huskies. But the Huskies kind of steamrolled the Miami Hurricanes. There was nothing they could really do. Sanogo was really big, dominant. He lit it up for them. UConn they look destined, and they've won it before. However, San Diego State did what we love to see in March Madness, and that's buzzer beaters. And they were down 1. Jonelle Davis went up for FAU. He's been hitting those shots all the time. Missed. They got the rebound, throw it out. Lamont Butler goes down. Yeah, he's kind of cut off. I'm like, time's running out. What's he doing? The coach didn't call a timeout. He didn't want to give the defense time to set. He's like, let's roll with it. They rolled with it, and buzzer beater. When the ball's in the air, that's sweet. Everybody's jumping. It's like, this is going to be the best thing ever, or this is going to be so crushing. And it was the best thing ever. Well, unless you were FAU, then it was definitely crushing. But it's just the reason we watched the game. It was so exciting. I was watching with some friends. We were all jumping. It was cool. It's why you watch the game. It's great. And we had an F1 race this weekend. It was on 11 p.m. Saturday, our time, for the Aussie F1 Grand Prix. It was a wild one. Max Verstappen won, long story short, as he has been doing, but there was a lot in between, There were 3 red flags. How often does that happen? And, the first one kind of hurt George Russell because they're like, oh, it's a yellow. I'm going to go change my tires, and, I'll lose some positions, but I'll get it back. I got the new tires. And they're like, oh, just kidding. It's a red flag. So he's like, oh, shit. So he just gave up position for nothing. But his car let him down anyway, so didn't really matter. Later on the race, though, Kevin Magnussen from Haas was coming up a little close to the wall. Hit his tire, just blew right off. He just had a rim there. Debris was going everywhere. Another red flag. And the red flags are crazy because it's a stopping start, and shit just hits the fan every time. So off this restart, everybody's just crashing, flying out. The poor Alpine drivers, the 2 Frenchmen, Gasly and Ocon, hit each other, take each other out of the race. Not very good. No. Not very good in Australia. But it was pretty bad for them. But Lewis Hamilton got second, and number 3, just third time in a row, Fernando Alonso. He's all about the podium, showing age is just a number, to everybody. F1 driver, good for him. Spanish guy doing what he's got to do with Aston Martin of all teams. So the next race for that, F1 will be April 30th in Baku for the, Azerbaijan GP. Little cop out for that, but I did mention baseball's in the UGA rig part. I did mention baseball's back. It came back on Thursday. The pitch clock is in full swing, and it seems to be working so far. When I looked it up, 26 minutes shorter on average game day this year compared to last year. People are thinking about it. I did see it once. They give them a ball. It's kind of different. You're wondering what will happen in the ninth inning when it decides a game dramatically, but it's definitely interesting, and I think it's working so far. So far, so good. Knock on wood. We'll see. Excuse me. But yeah, in footy as well, they were on international break, but the leagues came back. In the Prem, Man City started off really well, 4-1, pounding Liverpool. Klopp did not look happy, and everyone's like, oh, how's Arsenal going to respond? The young Bucks, can they keep this lead? Last year's champions are nipping at their heels. But Arsenal did what up? 4-1, Leeds. You got your 4-1, we'll match you 4-1. So looks like it's still a two-horse race at the top, but just like in the bottom of the NBA standings, the Prem League standings, 7 points between 12th place Crystal Palace and last place Southampton. So that's crazy. The bottom three teams do get relegated to the championship below, and the top three teams from below come up via a playoff and whatnot. So there's a lot at stake here. If you're not playing in the Premier League, you're not making as much money, you're not getting as good players. Bad. Right? So really dramatic stuff coming up. West Ham won, so boom, I'll take that. But with all the relegation talk, Leicester City is down in 19th. They won the league 8 years ago. A lot has changed. Brendan Rodgers has been there the last 4. He just mutually left. Him and Leicester City cut ties. They've been struggling. It's crazy. They have some really talented players, but they just look awful, and they could be going down. And I just came in just hours before the podcast. Graham Potter, manager of Chelsea, who was leading Brighton, doing great things, jumped up to Chelsea, signed a huge deal. What was it, a 5-year deal in September? He is gone. 7 months on the job. You're out of here. Chelsea is in 11th place right now. This late in the season, that is pretty bad for them. So, rough on him. He's going to be looking for work, and it's crazy. Brighton's doing so well this year, too. They left Potter in the dust. I don't know. They're Team Voldemort, I guess. But, that's big news there. But the man that Chelsea let go before Potter, Thomas Tuchel, made his debut with Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga, and they stomped Borussia Dortmund, leapfrogged them in the first place. So they're sitting pretty good. And then in the other big leagues, I don't want to jump into every game here, but there were some big ones. Napoli lost to AC Milan, who was in third place, but Napoli's got a big lead, 16 points, so 10 to go. They should be okay, and they haven't won the Serie A since 89-90, so people in Napoli they're getting pumped, but this loss is kind of making them a little worried, but I think they should be okay. Barcelona and Real Madrid both got big wins, so Barcelona's still got their lead at the top of La Liga. They should be good. The only big one that really caused concern was in the Ligue 1, French league in France, obviously. PSG, they're top. They lost to Lyon, and now they're just 6 points ahead of the second place teams, Lens and Marseille. There are 9 matches to be played in there, so lots of drama still abroad. MLS is peaking up here yet. It's not really coming into the radar too much. We got big stuff on the go. PGA news. I don't always get to PGA. It'll be nicer, but it's snowing out here. It's hard to picture it sometimes. But quick shout out to Corey Connors, Listowel, Ontario. I hope I got that town right. He won the Valero Texas Open this weekend, getting his second PGA win. Anytime Canadians do well, we gotta give our shout outs to them. But I mentioned talking about the relegation table and how crazy and tight that is. The NBA playoffs, like I said, also tight at the bottom. April 11th, Well, that is just around the corner with the play-in, and things are looking wild. At the top, not so much. The Grizz are sneaking in a bit on the Nugs, but Nuggets still have that first seed. I don't know if the Grizzlies are going to catch them. Grizzlies have been on a tear, and as cocaine bears do, they get rowdy, so they want that first seed. And Kings, they've locked up there. I said I wasn't sure if they clinched. They have clinched. The beam is lit. Sacramento is in the playoffs. And, 4th to 10. Clusterfuck city. Anything can happen. Dallas is still struggling hard. They needed a win today. They're so close, losing in OT to the Hawks. That one hurt today, but hey, OKC gave them a little bit of a lifeline, losing the Phoenix as KD's coming back in the swing. But the East, it still looks same old. Our playoff spots, we pretty much know who's in it. Wizards choking and the Bulls winning again and Raptors winning. So those teams are winning when they need to. The Bucks and Celtics are still jostling for that 1-2. I think the Deer are just ahead of the Leprechauns right now, but we'll see who ends up on top. And shout out to Fred VanVleet today. First Raptor to go 20 and 20, 20 points, 20 dimes. I thought Damon Stoudemire would have done it at least once, but I guess not. So shout out to Freddie. Well done. But all this talk, all these crazy things happening, ending March, coming into April, it's adventurous time, but it's a fight out there. You think you're getting spring, you got snow. You think you've won a game, you lose on a buzzer beater. You think you got things going, fouls take you out of a game. Happened to South Carolina, then happened to Iowa soon after. It's the way she goes, right, as the cookie crumbles. But speaking of that brings me to this story. I've mentioned before I have dual citizenship. Again, thank you, Mom. I've spent time in England, and when I first went over there to kind of start living there, get my shit set up, it was 2 months into living. I was figuring out my bearings a bit. I wasn't working or anything yet. It's kind of, figuring out my way, being a small-town boy, living in London. Bit of a change, but, it was different and, a very, very different way to see the world, like seeing myself. I don't know if you're looking on YouTube or Spotify, but I'm very white, pale, very easily recognizable in the dark. Red hair, and, that's growing up. I saw a lot of people that kind of look like me. Not so much gingers, but similar skin tones. And going over to live in East London, it was very different. I was a minority, and it was different, Coming on a bus and people staring at you was something very different. And, if you haven't been in that experience, you don't know what it's like. It's different, and you empathize for people that have to deal with that all the time because it's very different. And this different experience had me checking out different cultures and stuff. And one thing that caught my eye was Carnival. I saw Carnival, however you want to say it. I'm probably butchering it, sounding like a person from, Saskatchewan. But I wanted to check it out. It was something that intrigued me. I always liked the idea of kettle drum music, very rhythmic. I want to try the food. And I traveled alone all the time, riding solo. And looked into it. I saw Notting Hill area. It's like, okay. Figured out where to go. I had the app to look up which train, underground lines to take to get you there. All pumped up, get there. I'm in my shorts, my jersey, sorry. I always wear jerseys. Not really a tank top, but rocking that, get out there. As you're approaching, you can hear the music. The crowds are crazy. Like, I don't know. I've seen stuff around here. I've been around, but I've never seen anything like this. People just shoulder to shoulder, blocks of this, and the music so loud, and people like parading in the street, playing kettle drums, and the outfits, the very revealing outfits. I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, I gotta get something to drink or something to enjoy this. So you hop into a shop, you go to the fridge. Well, we got Red Stripe. Give me a few Red Stripe. Just drinking that, enjoying it. Just enjoying it. People watching, breathing it in, taking in the smell. Just every sense was on cloud nine. It was really good. And, you're walking to shoulder, kind of getting through people. You have to kind of back away from the crowd a bit, almost to breathe a bit. And it's like this for it is crazy. I've never seen anything like that. And, like, just continuing to go through this, they had, like, just grills going right on the fire with corn. So you'd get, I don't know what it was called, but I call it street corn. Just get some of that. So freaking good. All authentic. And again, like, as I mentioned earlier, if I felt like a bit of a minority living where I was in East London, at Carnival, I stuck out pretty big here. But I didn't care. Everyone was super welcoming. It was all right. I probably looked very touristy, but I don't know. Everybody was pretty chill with me. I don't know. Everyone was friendly. I wasn't reaching out doing anything, talk to people, but no one was really confronting me. So it all seemed all right. Drinking my Red Stripe, having a good time, This is amazing. And then all of a sudden, you're kind of getting through a crowd. Boom! Someone hits my shoulder, and it was like a swivel. My body swiveled because he hit my shoulder so hard, and I was like, oof, damn. And I turned back to, like, look over my shoulder and be like, oh, sorry, buddy. Very Canadian in the UK, I guess. Oh, sorry, buddy. And as I turned my head, boom, right in the jaw. I go like that. Oh, I guess if you're not watching, my head whips back. I fall back. I don't usually fall after getting hit, I don't think. I'm not asking anyone to come up and punch me to prove this. But, yeah, I got hit, and I kind of just went back and stumbled and fell over. And as I was kind of grabbing myself to, like, get up, I started getting kicked. Boom, boom. So, I don't know, I pulled my Franklin here and went in the turtle mode, and I'm just covering my face. I'm getting kicked. I'm like, what the fuck? And then they just kind of scattered just as soon as they came. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm trying to grab myself, shaking myself up here. I get up, got my phone, and I'm like, oh, fuck. No wallet. I'm looking on the ground. Where's my wallet? Where's my wallet? I'm 2 months into a new country, trying to figure shit out. I need my wallet, and it is nowhere to be found. I don't know if that was the plan. Kick the ginger till his wallet falls out. It's like a piñata. Or if it just fell out. But I was looking. I couldn't find it. It's nowhere to be seen. I'm like, shit. So I'm thinking, I gotta cancel my cards. I don't have much money anyway, but I'm like, oh, shit, I gotta get rid of that stuff. And I'm like, my license, I'm gonna get all this. I'm gonna have to get a hold of my sister or something, get her to send this to me. Oh my God. And then I was just like, okay, immediate problems. How the fuck am I getting home? All right. I had an Oyster card in there, which, helped me travel around London. If you've ever been to London, I don't know if it's still like this, but you had an Oyster card. You load up cash, use to get on the bus and the underground. That shit was gone. So it was like, I don't know how I'm going to get home. Like, my buttons are all fucked up on my shirt. I'm pissed off. I'm a little roughed up. I'm like, I need to get home. Like, I'm not Red Stripe happy anymore. I'm like kind of fuzzy brain, angry, pissed off now. So I just like, okay, well, I'll go back to the station and figure this out. I'm looking around. Okay, well, this says, I forget what it even said on there, but it said, like, travel somewhere, train to, fuck, I wish I remember what that said. I wish I had that ticket still. But I get to the station, find this ticket, get inside, and, like, usually you put your ticket through, it comes up, boom, doors open, you walk through, or you scan your card, boom, doors open. But they had someone standing there who was just kind of looking at your shit and waving you through, like, come on, let's go. Except there was England, so it was like, come on now. Well, I don't know what that was either. Nothing like that. We'll work on that accent later. But they're waving you through. And get through. I'm like, sweet. And you don't have to leave the stations, right? You take your different lines and your transfers. And as long as you're in your shit, you don't need to go through any turnstiles or doors, you're fine. So I did that. Got all the way back to Walthamstow. And then, as I was about to leave, you had to put your ticket through again for the doors to open. So I just watched someone, and as they were about to go through, I just went right behind them and right through. Very creepy. Probably not allowed post-COVID times, but it worked then. Got me through, got out of the station, got home, lived another day. And you're like, oh, geez, dramatic. You survived that jump. Well, at least it ended there. Wrong. It did not end there. A few days later, me and my nephew, we're in East London, Chingford to be exact. We're going down to the shop a few blocks from where we're staying, and just get some snacks, some Haribo, whatever we were gonna get, and yeah, we're on our way there. Someone comes by on their bike, someone, I'd say 16 to 19, I don't know. Not very good at guessing age. It was dark. And he's like, yeah, you need some shit? And I was like, no, I'm good. He's like, no, man, you need some weed, bruv. You need some weed? I got you. I got some gear, bruv. You need some? And I'm like, no, I'm good, man. He's like, let me put in your phone. I was like, I'm good. He's like, give me your fucking phone. I was like, oh, what? And just as I looked up again, I don't know what the fuck keeps happening, but all these bikes swarm. There's probably 5 to 6 bikes. Again, these dudes are all probably, I don't know, 15 to 19. Again, I'm trying to guess their age. It was dark. And, you know, they were dark too. So like it was hard to see at night, and I don't know. And this time it was like, I wasn't on the ground, and these guys looked, you know, a little younger than me. So I just started swinging, you know, like a hurricane, just getting it going. A fury of fists flying, and I could hear my nephew across the street going, Reginald! Like, I don't know what he was doing. That's what he called me, Reginald, but he didn't come help me at this point. He was across the street. But, yeah, I'm swinging like that, and a car pulls up behind him and kind of flashes the brights and honks. They scatter. I run across the street, and he's like, oh, geez, I saw them coming. I was like, well, why didn't you say anything? Anyway, we run to the shop. We let the guy know. He lets us use his phone. I don't even know how we had this number, if it was on my phone and I was out of minutes and I just had the number, if it was in my notes on my iPod Touch, but regardless, we got a hold of my uncle. He came, picked us up, and I was like, should I really be living here? It's month 2. Been jumped twice. My quota's up. Am I getting jumped next month? Is this a thing? But no, shit happened again. We're not going to spoil them all because those are shorts for later. But yeah, shit sucked. Jumped twice. I don't know. I must have a punchable face, I guess. Again, don't test me to see if I get knocked backward. I probably will. And no one got time for that. But yeah, those were some shorts. There was some jumping in hoops, and there were some jumping in some shorts, and they weren't too good for old Ren. But that's my episode today. We had an awesome Final Four finish. We have the men's game tomorrow. Big game, Monday night. San Diego State Aztecs versus the Yukon Huskies. Should be something else. Are we going to have a new winner or a winner from the past? Should be interesting. Thanks again for joining me. Next week should be interesting. We're dropping the interesting bomb a lot, so there you go. But next week we are going to have a guest, I think. So, yeah, hold your britches, hold your top hats, whatever funky fresh you're wearing, and tune in next week. But thank you for tuning in this week. Ren City out.